Alright, so I'm gonna be looking over the speakers here and hopefully replace them, but we'll see. So I already loosened up the 3 bolts. If you want to know how to take off the door panel, I have a video on that, so you watch that. But anyways, I already took off the 3 bolts, and the clip here is you push this part right here in. That's why these things are always so difficult to take off. Oh, come on. Actually, I'm gonna take the whole speaker out. There's 2 pins here. There's a pinhole here and a pinhole here that keeps the speaker in its position, its alignment position. There it goes. So that's like that could potentially right here be a fingertip buster. All right, so let's look at the tweeter here. So you want to know how to take the tweeter out from the pillar cover. You can see my panel removal video somewhere in there. Anyway, so here there's a little thing over here. Just push, so you'll see that little. So it's not a button, but it's basically a latch. You just push down on it like so, and pull the keyboard like that. That's it. So that's that. Let's go to the. You can actually here you can actually see the window frame where it slides up and down, and just bare, it's all bare metal in there. So there's nothing that's actually there's nothing actually covering up the back side of the speaker. So potentially water could get in here, over time. But anyways, let's look at what I have here. So okay, so I have some foam covers that I'm gonna put in with the aftermarket speakers. Basically, it covers the back. It makes I think it makes the sound a little bit better. The less of the sound will echo in the door itself, and hopefully that will also reduce vibrations and such. I have my little harness here. This is the harness that basically, where the wire harness here connects to the speaker. This harness connects to the harness of the factory harness, and it will attach to the new speakers. There's that. And I have my mounting bracket here. These are the mounting brackets for the speakers, for the new speakers, on the door. Put those aside. Here's my speakers. I think I've showed you guys this before, but let's show it again. These are the JBL's Club 6500C. C means component. So the mid-range speaker and the tweeter is separate from each other. And there's also a little inline passive crossover. I mean, that's what they usually refer to, but I think in reality it's more of a filter than anything. So the real crossover is, it's actually active. Okay, let's look at the specification if there is any on here. Look at that. +1 oversized woofer cone, deeper base, blah blah blah. PI edge-driven dome tweeter. Fits more vehicles. High sensitivity for great sound with factory stereo power. RMS is 60 watts. Peak is 180 watts. And the ohms it says here nominal is 3 ohms. Let's actually test that in a little bit and see what they really are. Speaking of ohms, let's actually test the factory speakers. Here's my voltmeter. I have it set up to ohms, or I should say my multimeter. I have it set up to ohms. Let's leave it there like so. Let's get the back of the speaker here, factory speaker. Let's see what this one is. I think this one is 2 ohms, I believe, from the research I've done. 1.9, 1.8 ohms, 1.8, almost 2 ohms. And the tweeter, let's see what this is. The tweeter has a little capacitor on here. You can see that this little thing right here. That's the capacitor. So that basically it's kind of like it acts like a crossover, but it's not a real crossover. It's more of a filter. Basically, it blocks out the low frequencies, because you don't want low frequencies to get into the tweeter, because that blows out tweeters. So let me put because of that, if I try to measure the ohms, it won't read properly, because this is in line with that. So I have to basically, if you look, I'm not sure if you guys can see it in the camera, but if you look carefully here, you can see 2 different metal spots coming from the cap. So one goes to the speaker, and the other one goes to the capacitor. So I'm not sure which one's which. I think this one down here is straight to the speaker. So basically I'm touching before the cap. So that should give me a reading, a proper reading. Because if let me go into the pins here, you can see that the reading is not, it doesn't read right because of the cap. So it's 7, and it keeps on jumping and jumping, but that's because of the capacitor. All right, so let's do this other one down here. So this should be a proper reading. There it goes, 3 ohms, 3.1 ohms. So this is 3 ohms, and this is 1.8 ohms, 3 ohms, 3.1 and 1.8. So probably, and these things are how they're connected, as far as I could tell, looking at the wiring diagram, how I could tell, from the amplifier, because this, this is the Bose, with the Bose system in here. So that's an amplifier that connects to these ones, and the amplifier that's connecting to these ones, it's just two wires only. So basically, these 2 speakers are connected in parallel. So when you connect speakers in parallel with whatever ohms, it changes. So 1.8 and 3.1, I think the 2 together comes out to maybe 1.5 or something like that. Maybe even close to 1 ohms almost. I'm not exactly sure, because the numbers are not not even, so I can't think of off the top of my head. I can't calculate off the top of my head, but they have ohms calculators on the internet. You just look up speaker ohms calculator on there somewhere, and you could actually punch in, for example, you have 2 speakers and it's connected to parallel or series or whatever, 2, 3 speakers, whatever, and you just punch in how many ohms each speaker is, and if it's connected series or parallel, it will tell you how many actual ohms it is. So I think that these 2 together are comes out to either 2 ohms or a little bit under 2 ohms, maybe 1.5 ohms or something like that, or maybe even slightly lower than that. But anyways, enough of that. Let's look at the speakers themselves. So this is from the JBLs. All right. Let's see how many ohms those are. These are the tweeters. The tweeter is 2.1. So basically 1 ohm, about 1 ohm lower than the factory. Factory is 3.2. 2.1 for the tweeter. Let's look at the woofer for the mid-range, I should say. Woofers are bigger. Let's see. So the mid-range on these are 2.3. So basically, a little bit over 2 ohms. A little bit over 2 ohms. You connect it into parallel. It will be. It's gonna go down a little bit less, but the thing is, that's if you connect it straight parallel. The thing with this system is that they have little inline, like I mentioned earlier, inline crossovers. You connect it to this, the ohms will actually change a little bit. So I think it's gonna probably stay at what the factory says. The factory says
At least the box, what the box said. The box said nominal impedance is 3 ohms. So it's probably going to be somewhere around 3 ohms or so, maybe a little less. So because of that. Also, this one, it has a cap in here, so that also kind of changed the ohms a little bit as well. The ohms reading slightly. So, Patrick, calm down, Patrick. So that's the ohms. Direct from the speaker without going through any type of filter or crossover. Let's look at the speakers themselves. Let's kind of compare them a little bit. So here are the two. The Bose factory one and the my JBLs. They're about the same size. Pretty close. Now, I mean, this thing has the housing on there, so that makes it slightly bigger. Then so does this thing. It has its own housing. So so dimensionally, this one is smaller than this thing. So this fits into the pillar, the A pillar. So this one will fit in there as well. I just have to figure out how to keep it in place. So I'm not sure how I'm gonna do that yet. Potentially, I could use some glue or maybe even tape it. Using like a aluminized tape. That you use for like water heaters and such, where it can stand high heat. So because in the car, especially in the summertime, you park it out in the sun when the windows rolled up and everything, the cabin could get to like 130 degrees or more. So it get pretty hot. Like you use regular tape, regular adhesive. That temperature will make the adhesive. It kind of weakens a little bit. It makes it more gummy. But with that high temperature tape that they use for water heaters, for the exhaust vent for the water heater, exhaust duct, that tape could hold up and it doesn't, the adhesive doesn't get all gummy and stuff. So I haven't figured out, what to do on that part yet. And I'm not gonna connect this today because I need to figure out as far as blocking out the low frequency, because I don't think I could, because of the way the factory harness and the wiring is. I don't think I could fit this in, or I can, but I have to find where because these two speakers are connected in parallel, so I have to find out where they split. If I could find out where they split and find that junction, I could put it into here. Then from there I could split these two to these, to basically these two. But I'm not sure what that is, so I have to do some more research, and I look online on the forums and stuff, and the closest thing I could find was that someone was saying that that they nailed the split point near the door jamb somewhere, but they're not exactly sure where it is. So I have to figure that part out. If I can't, or if I don't want to, because obviously I got to cut into the wire harness. I might not want to do that. I might want to keep the wire harness and run it like the factory is running it. So instead of using this, I'm just gonna attach it straight, just like how this speaker is straight to the harness. And I'm gonna find like a little capacitor for this, and basically do the same thing. Just run it in line with one of the lines, probably the positive side. So that way it blocks out the amps. Then that way I won't have to use this at all. If I go that route, I might even, because I actually never taken these things apart before, but so I'm gonna probably take this apart and see what's in here, what components are in here and such, and see if I could maybe use the components in here instead of going out and buy stuff. But again, I have no idea what's in here, because I've never opened these little inline crossovers before. So that's that. And I think that's what I'm gonna do too. So that way I don't have to cut the original harness, and I don't have to going in there and digging for it. That's a lot of work, That's a pain in the ass, and you don't necessarily want to cut into the original harness, because that's like, I don't look forward to that. I don't look forward to that at all. So I probably won't do that. All right. So I already compared these two, right, more or less. And this one of the other reasons why I picked this, besides the component, obviously I want the different components, two way, instead of having a two-way in here, having them separate, because I think they sound better that way. Obviously they have to fit, the size wise they have to fit. So this takes care of that. Other thing is the impedance, the ohms. 3 ohms pretty close. It would have been better if it was like 2 ohms. Other reasons why I also pick these speakers is the tweeters as well. The tweeters, these are soft tweeters. There's different types of tweeters. Like hard material versus soft material. I prefer the soft material because I think they sound better. They sound richer, warmer. They have like a richer, warmer sound. Whereas when you use like a hard material, they sound more metallic, more harsh. I don't like that. So that's why I picked this. Other reasons why I picked this is because of the wattage. The wattage is not that high. Some of these things, the wattage is really high. This one, the RMS is 60 watts, right? RMS 60, 180 peak. Looking at the two speakers here. Look at the 2 magnets. This magnet is actually smaller than this one. So that's the first time I've seen that. Usually the factory magnet is puny, but here, oh shit, it's different poles there. But if you look at it side by side, you can see that the factory Bose speaker magnet is actually bigger than my new JBLs. So usually the size of the magnet is kind of an indicator of how much wattage it could handle. Usually, smaller wattage speakers will have smaller magnets, whereas bigger wattage speakers will have bigger magnets. Part of that's, as the power goes through here and it goes through the coil that's in the speaker here, and it moves the cones back and forth. It moves this cone and pushes the air. It moves air now. When this cone speaker moves, it pushes air, and that's how it makes sound. But anyway, so that's kind of a good indicator of wattage wise. So I think I'm actually, it might be okay because the Bose speaker is the Bose system has the built-in amp instead of the non-Bose system. You look at the non-Bose system, the speakers correct directly into the TAU, I think they call it, tuner. What do they call it? Tuner amp unit, I believe. TAU or TUA. I think it's TAU. So the non-Bose has the TAU right into the speakers, whereas the Bose system has the TAU, then it goes to the amplifier, then it goes to the speakers. So basically it has a more amplified signal. So I think the Bose speaker, the Bose amplifier is probably going to be strong enough to push this. At least that's what I'm hoping, and I think it and I think it is. It will be. So I probably don't have to use my amplifier because I bought those Rockford Frontgate inline amplifiers, those kind of new technology where you don't have to have a power supply for them, where you use the speaker signal as a power supply. So I might not have to use that, but I will test it out anyways just to see how it works. At least on the mid-range, because the mid-range speaker wire is easy to get to. So let's look at the construction here. So this frame here is all plastic frame. The cone here is paper cone. This is the cheap foam. It's like a cheap foam that's typical on cheap speakers, low-end speakers. All right. Whereas the JBLs is a metal frame, pretty thin but still metal frame, so a little bit more rigid than a plastic one is. I think the plastic one's pretty rigid, but I think this metal one's gonna be more rigid. The cone is I'm not sure what kind of material this is. Some type of composite material maybe. But anyways, it's some type of a fancy plastic. So it's better than the paper basically. So because paper over time the paper will deteriorate, right? Especially with moisture. Being in the door, having no weather sealing between the back here and the rest of the door interior. Water over time, water gets in there. Right? Each time you rain, each time you wash the car and stuff, water will get in there, and as the water evaporates and stuff, some of this cone material will absorb some of that moisture, and over time it will deteriorate. Whereas this stuff, it's basically it's a fancy plastic, so it's not gonna absorb any moisture at all. And the surround here is some type of rubber instead of foam. It's rubber, so that's also better than the foam as well. It's gonna last longer than the foam. Looking at these two, if I compare them, looking at the surround material, this is pretty small. So because of the smallness, the movement isn't as much. So that means it's not gonna push as much air, meaning the end result will probably be that this won't be as bassy as this one will be. Because the more a speaker can move, the more air you can push, the more bassy it could be. You know, so that's what my off the top of my head guess will be. And see how much bigger this surround is. So basically that tells me that it could. You know, I'm just pushing here. I could feel it, and you could hopefully you guys could see how much movement there is in the cone. Where this one, there's not much movement because the surround is so small. So I can actually feel this one right here is a little bit stiffer. There's more resistance against being pushed. It could be because this is brand new and this one is used. You know, because over time this does soften up and it gets easy to push. Same thing with this as well. Just hear me pushing this thing, poking, prodding. I can feel that this one right here is stiffer. More, a little bit more solid, a little more rigid. So that will hopefully give a higher quality sound. Part of the reason why it gets higher quality sound. Okay, so that's the overview of the my 2 speaker setup. So today I'm not gonna put the tweeter on. I'm just gonna put the woofer in, and I'm gonna compare the two, the stock. So the passenger side I'm gonna put this on, and the driver side I'm gonna leave the stock on. I'm gonna just listen to it and see what sounds better. And I'm probably gonna record some of that just so that you guys could hear it too. I'm not sure how, I mean, I'm using my iPhone as the camera, so I don't know how good the iPhone microphone is. I don't think it's that great, but hopefully you guys might be able to hear the difference. Maybe not. If not, I will commentate. All right, so stay tuned for the next video where I'm gonna put everything in.